Mother says, there is a line by Sri Aurobindo in Savitri which expresses this very well. To annul oneself so that only the Supreme Lord may be. And there are many, many experiences like this. It is only a very small beginning. This one in particular came to mark the new stage. 4 years have elapsed, and now 4 years to come. Because everything has focused on this body to prepare it. Everything has concentrated on it. Nature, the master of the yoga, the supreme, everything. So only when it's over, not before, will it really be interesting to speak of all this. But maybe it will never be over. After all, it is a small beginning, very small. And then in 25th February 1961, Mother says, there is only one thing you can do. Annul yourself as much as possible. If you can annul yourself completely, then the experience is total. And if your disappearance could be constant, the experience would be constantly there. But that's still far away. I don't know if all this 23rd May 1960. Sweet Mother, with what attitude should I read Sri Aurobindo's books when they are difficult and when I do not understand? Savitri, the Life Divine, for example. Mother, read a little at a time. Read again and again until you have understood. 12th July 1960. A time comes when the effort is to conquer the negative parts of creation and death, as at the end of Savitri. And when you have conquered that, then you're above. And then if you look at all these things, even those which seem to be the most opposed to the divine, even acts of cruelty done for the pleasure of cruelty, you see the presence that annuls their effects, and it is absolutely marvelous. 12th November 1960. It's explained very well in Savitri. All these things have their laws and their conventions. And truly speaking, a really formidable power is needed to change anything of their rights. For they have rights, what they call laws. Sri Aurobindo explains this very well when Savitri, following Satyavan into death, argues with the god of death. It's the law, and who has the right to change the law, he says. And then comes this wonderful passage at the end, where she replies, my God can change it, and my God is a God of love. Oh, how magnificent. And by force of repeating this to him, he yields. She replies in this way to everything. 12th January 1961. They have prepared a folder with a long quotation from Savitri and 5 photos of my face taken from 5 different angles. The title of the folder is in the line from Savitri that gave me the most overpowering experience of the entire book, because, as I told you, as I read, I would live the experiences. Reading brought instantly a living experience. And when I came to this particular line, I was as if suddenly swept up and engulfed in "the" is wrong, "and" is wrong. It is neither one nor the other. It is something else. Eternal truth. Everything was abolished except this. Forever love, O beautiful slave of God. That alone existed. 22nd January 1961. But all of that is wonderfully, accurately expressed and explained in Savitri. Only you must know how to read it. The entire last part, from the moment she goes to seek Satyavan in the realm of death, which affords an occasion to explain this, the whole description of what happens there, right up to the end, where every possible offer is made to tempt her, everything she must refuse to continue her terrestrial labor. It is my experience exactly. Savitri is really a condensation, a concentration of the Universal Mother, the eternal Universal Mother, Mother of all universes from all eternity, in an earthly personality for the earth's salvation. And Satyavan is the soul of the earth's jiva. So when the Lord says, "He whom you love and whom you have chosen," it means the earth. All the details are there. When she comes back down, when death has yielded at last, when all has been settled, and the Supreme tells her, go with him, the one you have chosen. How does Sri Aurobindo describe it? He says that she very carefully takes the soul of Satyavan into her arms like a little child to pass through all the realms and come back down to earth. Everything is there. He hasn't forgotten a single detail to make it easy to understand for someone who knows how to understand. And it is when Savitri reaches the earth that Satyavan regains his full human stature. 27th January 1961. It was about the word, the primal sound. Sri Aurobindo speaks of it in Savitri, the essence of the word and how it will express itself, how it will bring in the possibility of a supramental expression that will take the place of languages. I began by speaking to him about the different languages, their limitations and possibilities. And I warned him against the deformations imposed on languages with the idea of making them a more flexible means of expressing something else. I told him how completely ridiculous it all was, and that it didn't correspond at all to the truth. So yesterday again, I had this same experience. A whole world of knowledge, of consciousness, and of certainty, precluding the least possibility of contradiction, discussion, or opposition. The possibility does not exist. It doesn't exist. And the mind was absolutely silent and immobile, listening with obvious pleasure, because these things had never before come into my consciousness. I have never been concerned with them in that way. It was completely new, not new in principle, but completely new in action. The experiences are multiplying. A sound that can bring in the supramental force? Yes. While speaking, you see, I went back to the origin of sound. Sri Aurobindo describes it very clearly in Savitri. The origin of sound, the moment when what we call the word becomes a sound. So I had a kind of perception of the essential sound before it becomes a material sound. And I said, when this essential sound becomes a material sound, it will give birth to the new expression which will express the supramental world. I had the experience itself at that moment. It came directly. I spoke in English, and Sri Aurobindo was concretely, almost palpably present. Now it has gone away. 6th June 1961. I am up against this fact. How did truth become falsehood? I am not asking myself intellectually. That doesn't interest me at all. It is here, in matter, that the thing must be found. It is double. It is double. How did it happen? But not just how, as in a story, the mechanism, and how will we get out of it? You see, all the things that have been told, even all the things Sri Aurobindo has said, he has said the most in Savitri. All that is necessarily, what can it be called? Mental, the supra-intellectual, spiritualized mind. But it is not that. It is a form. It is an image. It's not the concrete fact. And with a sort of prescience, I see that only the body can know. That's the extraordinary thing. And when the body makes this movement, gesture of stepping back from physical appearances, what to call it? This movement of fusion. Is it fusion? Of no longer being a separate body, of being the divine, there is something which, there is a sort of abstraction of something, and even that is putting it too concretely. And sometimes it succeeds, the body floats in the light. Sometimes it's only partial. Sometimes all the inner consciousness is there, full and total. But here, things remain as they are. Stupid, stupid, utterly stupid. Blind in shifting sands, painful. And it's not a thought. It's not even a sensation. I don't know what it is. And there the conscious will can do nothing. Nothing. All it could do, it has done, and it continues to do all it can at each minute. And it's nothing. It's not that. What is it? That is the true secret. How splendid when it will be found. And at the same time, there's a kind of prescience, like a sensation beforehand of an omnipotence, the true omnipotence, and nothing but that can satisfy you, nothing else. All the rest is nothing. 4th July, 1961. You know, Savitri is an exact description, not literature, not poetry, although the form is very poetical. An exact description, step by step, paragraph by paragraph, page by page. As I read, I relived it all. Besides many of my own experiences that I recounted to Sri Aurobindo, seem to have been incorporated into Savitri. He has included many of them. This explained to me why, suddenly, as I read it, I live the experience, line by line, page by page. The realism of it is astounding.